show keeps the drama in place. Let's go, where the heroes rise and the legends grow. CJP brings the shots, you know. The EVP show is out of control.
What is going on, everyone? I am the EVP, and this is the EVP show, and we are live doing the NXT recap. I hope everyone is doing good tonight. Having a little bit of technical difficulties here. Just bear with me for just 1 second. Sorry about this. I hate to be doing this. All right, I'm not quite sure what's going on. One of the places that we are streaming to is not allowing me to stream to it, and I do apologize. I just want to check on that really quick. Just 1 second. All right, so I'm not quite sure what's going on with it. I will have to find out later. But we are live on my Facebook. We are also live on DKO's Facebook, and we are live on the EVP show. I was trying to go live on the DKO YouTube page. I'm not quite sure what's going on with it. But we are also live on my X as well. So welcome everybody that's here. What's going on, LB? So yeah, let's just dive right on into it. Not quite sure what's going on with the DKO YouTube page. It's not letting me stream on there for some reason. But I'll have to find out maybe after the stream. I'm sorry for the early technical delay. Was having a little difficulties on StreamYard with this. So yeah. All right, so we are doing the NXT recap. And what it was an incredible show. NXT is more of a fast-paced show. I really feel like NXT is like you can't really blink or you're gonna miss something. Yeah, you got to really be paying attention to the whole show, or you're gonna miss something. What's going on, Ryan? Just had a technical difficulty at the start. It's not letting me stream to the DKO YouTube page for some reason. Don't know why. It is lit up in red. So it looks like my stream was deleted on YouTube. Try creating a new stream or just remove this destination from the stream, then re-add it. So I don't know. Not sure what's going on with that. But anyway, we'll get back. I took enough time trying to figure out what's going on with this. So just kind of touch base briefly on some of the matches that was announced for tonight. Some of the big matches. obviously, we're going to see Lash Legend going up against Nia Jax, which when we get to it, it was a phenomenal match. And then we will have Charlie Dempsey going up against. Do you do you believe? If you believe, then we may see him. Charlie Dempsey going up against Joe Hendry. Also, Lola Vice and Kalani Jordan going up against two members of Fatal Influence, Fallon Henley and JC Jane. JC Jane is the NXT champion and the TNA Knockouts Women's champion, which is pretty cool. Double champ there. And then the main event, obviously, is going to be Dark State going up against Moose from TNA, Trick Williams, who is the TNA heavyweight champion, and Javon Evans, the young OG, as they like to call him, and Oba Femi, which is 216 days as the NXT champion. So yeah, that quite a card tonight to get into 2 hours. Welcome everybody that's coming into the stream. Sorry about the beginning, technical difficulty. One of my streaming locations, I guess it was deleted or something. I'm not quite sure what's going on with it. Yeah. So tonight, obviously, as always, our announcers are going to be Big Joseph, Corey Graves, and the Hall of Famer Booker T. Mike Rome will be doing the ring announcing as usual. Mike Rome does a really good job. Obviously, you'll see Sarah Schreiber also in the back doing like the interviews. Kelly Kincaid as well. Both of them kind of do like the backstage interviews and like the sit down interviews, so forth, so on. So the show kind of kicks off basically with some highlights from last week, showing like Chelsea Green. Obviously, she came out last week. Her interaction with Ethan Page, talking about Canada, and then obviously later on, Chelsea is doing a lot of interrogating, trying to figure out exactly what's going on with um, who's going to be Tavian Height's partner, which was just freaking hilarious. Every time Chelsea Green's on TV, it's crazy good. And then obviously they were showing highlights of Hank and Tank, battling a dark state last week, and then Oba and Trick and Javon Evans and Moose. Obviously we've seen highlights from them from last week as well. Welcome all to the new viewers. Like I said, sorry, the beginning of the stream was kind of a not what I wanted it to be. But yeah, glad to see some people here. So basically the first match we're going to see tonight is Nia Jax going up against Lash Legend. But before that, we see Hank and Tank in the back talking to Ava, the GM of NXT, the final boss's daughter. And she's kind of talking to them about their title defense that they have going up against Dark State coming up at NXT Heatwave. And basically, Ava is telling them that they don't need to interfere in the match, the main event match tonight. So Tank and Tank does give Ava their word that they're not going to interfere into the match tonight, which we'll see what happens at the end of the show, obviously on that. But yeah, so so after that, we start off with Lash Legend versus Nia Jax. This for me, this match was basically just to see who's most dominant. I mean, hush, Ryan. My stream like jacked up from the beginning. I have no idea what happened. Anyway, so like I said, this is a match for the most dominant. I feel like um they do call Nia Jax the bougie bully, which is pretty wild. I think Booker T said that. Booker T also called Nia Jax the gatekeeper. Um, Nia Jax is also a SmackDown Women's Champion. So this is a big match for Lash Legend. So yeah, this was a very hard hitting back and forth contest. Lash Legend ends up body slamming Nia Jax. She couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it. Lash Legend is really strong. So yeah, Lash definitely showcased why I feel like she's ready to win that NXT championship. She was on the main roster for a little bit, but it's good to see her like working down back in NXT with people like Nia. I mean, we've seen some of these main roster stars coming down and work in NXT, which is really good. So, as at one point in the match, Lash powers out of the guillotine. Nia tries to apply the guillotine to Lash Legend pretty quick off the bat. Um, so, like I said, it's a back and forth, hard hitting contest. You know, it's just it is what it is. Lash Legend showed up and showed out. So did Nia. Just an absolutely incredible match. Um, so Lash ended up going for a move on the outside, or no, I'm sorry, it was on the inside of the ring, and she was trying to back like she was on top of the rope. She was trying to pull Nia down and like power bomb her off the top rope, and it did not go the way Lash wanted it to go. At that point, Nia Jax ended up hitting two annihilators on Lash Legend and got the victory. 1, 2, 3. Nia Jax was victorious, but for me, even though Nia won the match, it was a tremendous showing for Lash Legend tonight. Yeah, it was just a lot of action. A lot of near falls. Great match. I would probably give it a 8 out of 10. To be honest with you. So backstage, we see Kelly Kincaid interviewing Dark State. They're basically talking about their match in the main event against Trick, Oba, Javon, and Oba. Trick, Moose, Javon, and Oba. They're basically talking about how they're going in the main event. They're going to take over. They're going to show everybody like why they need to be in the main event. And at the end of the segment, obviously they bring up Hank and Tank because two members of Dark State will be taking on Hank and Tank for the NXT Tag Championships at NXT Heatwave on August the 24th, which I'm looking forward to that match for sure. So up next, we will see, if you believe, say his name, he will appear, Joe Hendry going up against Chelsea, not Chelsea, Charlie Dempsey. I'm sorry. But before that, we see Chelsea Green with the Secret Harvest, and this is basically where the interrogation begins on who Chelsea and Ethan are trying to find out, like who Tavion Heights' partner is going to be. Obviously, they run into Kelly Armstrong, who is the current Evolved champion. And then they also run into Kendall Gray, who has a very high recognized amateur wrestling background, undefeated in college. So, and she's also on WWE Evolve. So if you watch that on Wednesday nights on Tubi, I think she has had a title match there before. So after all of that went down, they didn't really come to any conclusions on who Tavion was going to be recruiting as his partner. So we get to the Charlie Dempsey versus Joe Hendry match. Charlie Dempsey comes out first, uh, obviously a member of the Quarter Catch crew, and he's accompanied by Ren Sinclair. This match for me, Joe Hendry comes out next, obviously standing ovation. The crowd's behind him. Crowd's always behind him, clapping. When he turns around, it's always electric. Joe Hendry knows how to put on a show, knows how to get the fans behind him for sure. So for me, this match was it wasn't that great. I really didn't like it. It was really short. It kind of felt like a squash match to me, honestly. Ren Sinclair did seem pretty pleased with Joe Hendry and his skills in the ring, but ultimately Joe Hendry wins with the standing ovation. He hits the standing ovation on Charlie Dempsey for the 1, 2, 3, and Joe defeats Charlie Dempsey. So after that, we will see Josh Briggs walking backstage, which will be coming out to the ring next. But before that, we see Lola Weiss and Kalani Jordan in the back talking. Lola's basically talking about being on a roll. She's got a big match coming up at the AAA pay per view PLE this weekend, and she's saying how like she feels like she could be next up to be the NXT Women's Champion. And then obviously Kalani Jordan is expressing the same sentiments, how she feels like she needs to get the victory tonight. She wants to be the next NXT champion. So Jacy Jane has a very huge target on her back, which you know is very expected when you have two titles. So it's all those two are obviously interrupted by Jada Parker, one of my absolute favorites on NXT, and she said that she is also going to be the next NXT champion. So it's good to see Jada on the show. That was kind of my prediction on who was going to beat Jacy Jane eventually for the NXT championship, and that was going to be Jada Parker. But we will see. We got a long ways to go. She has a lot of people with their eyes on her. So finally, we get Josh Briggs out there. The fans are just booing him like crazy. He's talking about Yoshiki and Amara. Um, you can hear the fans in the background saying, "Turn his mic off, turn his mic off," which was pretty funny to me. Uh, and then Josh Briggs said, "Oh, they're not cutting my mic off." He basically said Amara didn't care about the friendship, that that he's not a man of honor. He said he said that Inamara was a what? I'm sorry, my bad. I completely got that wrong. So Josh Briggs said he's not a man of honor. He is a man of mayhem. So he basically blames Inamara for him not being the NXT champion when he did face Obafemi. And basically Josh Briggs calls out Inamar for a match next week at NXT for the Philadelphia Street Fight. He wants it to be a Philadelphia Street Fight next week. Raw is going to be live in Philly next week, and so is NXT. So out comes Inamara. He called Briggs a jackass, which the way he said it was just absolutely hilarious. I love seeing that he did that. That was hilarious for me. Basically, Nomura accepts and then exchanges a couple of blows and does hit um, Josh Briggs a couple of times, knocking him out of the ring. But he does accept the match for next week, and we will see Josh Briggs going up against Yoshiki and Nomura next Tuesday on NXT in Philly in a Philadelphia street fight, which I'm looking forward to that 100%. So after that, they announced that Jordan Grace has been medically cleared and she would be doing a exclusive interview in the back next. Then we see an advertisement for NXT being in Philadelphia next week. After that, we do see Kelly Kincaid interviewing one. All right. So we do see Kelly Kincaid interviewing Jordan Grace. Jordan's basically talking about her self worth, and you know it's just a very in depth interview. She talks about letting her guard down with Blake Monroe. She felt like an outside. She's always felt like an outsider. She also thought that maybe she thought Blake was in that same mentality of feeling like an outsider. But she basically let her guard down with Blake, and she said that she cannot wait to get her hands on Blake Monroe. She also said that real strength doesn't feed off other people's weakness, which is a very great. I love that. Real strength doesn't feed off other people's weakness. They're basically talking about the match with Blake at Heat Wave, so that is official. Jordan Grace will face Blake Monroe at NXT Heat Wave. And obviously at the end, Jordan is talking about how she is going to take care of Blake Monroe and that Blake Monroe is a bully. So looking forward to that match. After that, we do see Blake Monroe in the back with Ava again. And Blake says something about, you know, what one of Jordan's comments about her being self-conscious or something like that. But Ava said she had good news for Blake Monroe that next week there will be a face-off in the ring with Blake and Jordan in Philly. So that will be included on the card next week. They will do a face-to-face in Philadelphia at NXT on next Tuesday, which is great. So after that, we kind of go through and see clips of JC Jane's TNA matches. Obviously, the match against Masha Slamovich and Ash by Elegance interfered, and then vice versa, the match against Ash, and then we see Masha interfere, and then obviously we're going to see those two later on in the evening as well. So Blake Howard, in the back, is talking to JC Jane and Fallon Henley and Jasmine Nix, and here comes Ash by Elegance and Masha Slamovich. They're like, they don't come up to her, but like Jasmine tries to get her attention. Like you can see Masha and Ash by Elegance like walking like on the jumbotron behind the screen. So like obviously they're coming into the arena. They want to keep a close eye on JC Jane tonight in the main event. So yeah, that was an interesting segment right there. So now we will get to the tag team match, which is going to be Fatal Influence, JC Jane, the NXT Women's Champion, and Fallon Henley, and they're accompanied by the other member of Fatal Influence, Jasmine Nix, going up against Lola Vice and Kalani Jordan. This was one of this was probably my favorite match of the night, wrestling wise. This match was great. A lot of um, a lot of like back and forth, stuff like that. But before we get to that match, we do see Oba, Javon, Moose, Trick talking about Dark State in the back. Oba said that they are the alpha males of their species. Trick's over there sitting on the bench playing on his cell phone, basically ignoring them while, you know, Oba and Javon and Moose are like all hyping each other up for this for this 8-man tag that we're going to see um, in the main event tonight. So they were also talking about how Lola Vice has been turning heads at AAA. She does have a 6-person tag match coming up this weekend at Triple Mania. And then we see Ashby Elegance and Masha Slamovich in the crowd. So we get the Lola Vice and JC Jane start the match. JC is basically getting like whooped in this match. Um, Lola Vice for me, I feel like put on her best showing tonight in this match, especially when she got the hot tag. There was a lot of near falls in this match for sure. But ultimately, by a shock, I was very surprised by the outcome of this. Okay, I don't know who this person is. Appreciate that. There's like 24 people watching. So we see towards the end of the match, like JT and Kalani are going blow for blow. And then Kalani Jordan hits her finisher, the one of a kind split legged moonsault off the top rope to pin the NXT champion and TNA knockout women's champion JC Jane. So Lola Vice and Kalani Jordan were victorious tonight. And then you can see like Jasmine and Fallon helping JC Jane up. She looked like she was kind of out of it, which was you know expected. She took a pretty big hit there at the end, and you can see Ash and Masha in the crowd basically throwing up the L sign to JC Jane because they're coming for her. So after that, we see some Jasper Troy, Ricky Saints clips. Basically, a little segment with them two. Um, said that he's going to be ending Ricky Saints next week in Philly, and the spotlight will be where it needs to be, and that's on Jasper Troy. Jasper Troy, if anybody's not aware or living under a rock, he was the winner of season 1 of LFG. So after that, we see Kendall Gray, who is a standout on WWE Evolve. She has a very highly touted amateur wrestling background. She was actually 61-0 in college. She was on the USA national team, which is very, very, very impressive. She's going to be going up against Alba Fire, accompanied by Piper Niven. Obviously, when you see one, you're usually going to see two. If not, you're going to see all three of Secret Harvest. But you did see Chelsea Green and Ethan Page in the back. Chelsea just reassuring Ethan that Alba's going to get the job done tonight. So basically, start off the match. Kendall is trying to use that amateur background. Like I said, Kendall is a standout on WWE Evolve on Wednesday nights. But ultimately, we have. Sorry, there was a comment. Ultimately, Alba Fire like super kicks her, and the announcer was like, "Well, I don't think she's ever seen that." In her amateur background, but it was a pretty good match. I think it was a great showcase for Kendall Gray on NXT. Obviously, she's had a title match for the women's championship on Evolve, but ultimately, Alba Fire secured the victory with some sort of shoulder breaker power bomb. Which before that, you see Ethan Page come out talking to you know talking to Piper Niven, like he said he was coming out there to take a closer look, and that's what he did. He didn't really cause a distraction or determine the outcome, but he's on the hunt to try to find out who Tavion Heights' his partner is, and he was very. I guess the best word for it is like convinced that it was Kendall Gray, but we're gonna know later that it actually was not. But Alba Fire does secure the victory over Kendall tonight, which it was a pretty good match. I love seeing that. So Ethan Page gets on the mic talking about Tavion Heights and the United States of America and about how great Canada is. Out comes Tavion Heights, and so they're kind of jaw jacking back and forth, and Ethan Page is trying to figure out like who Tavion Heights is going to choose. Tavion Heights says that while he respects what Kendall is doing, ultimately he is choosing someone that is a Olympic gold medalist. And as soon as he said that, it immediately rang a bell because, like, I said this on my LFG stream Sunday. Like, we haven't seen much of Tyra May Steele on NXT in a while. So, Tavion Heights picked the Olympic gold medalist Tyra May Steele. She comes in from behind and she takes out Piper Niven and Alba Fire, and then she hits Ethan Page with a back suplex as well. After that match, we see JC and Fatal Influence again in the back, and Ava obviously in the concierge of the Elegance brand, and it was officially announced. What's going on, Zach? Happy National Julian Prowse Day. Yeah. Happy National Julian Prowse Day to you as well. So we do see Ava in the concierge of the Astro Elegance brand. And Ava made it official that JC Jane would defend her TNA championship against Masha Slamovich and Ashby Elegance at NXT Heatwave for the TNA Knockouts Championship. So now we have Blake Monroe going up against Jordan Grace. We're going to have Hank and Tank going up against two members of Dark State. And now we're going to have JC Jane versus Masha Slamovich versus Ash by Elegance in a triple threat for the TNA Women's Knockout Championship at NXT Heatwave. So that card is starting to really shape up. And then obviously next week, Javon Evans is going up against 101 against Trick Williams, with the winner of that match to face Obafemi for the NXT title. at NXT Heatwave as well. So Heatwave is shaping up to be a very strong PLE. And then also Ava announces that next week we will see a triple threat with Fatal Influence going up against the Elegance brand. So that will happen next week as well in Philly. A lot of stuff going on. Next week's going to be a packed show. AAA PLE that's coming up Saturday on YouTube Live is going to be an outstanding show as well. I'm thinking we're going to see a double champion for Dirty Dom. So before we get to the main event, we see Chelsea and Ethan Page. And Ethan Page said that Tavion Heights and Tyra May Steele were Mr. and Mrs. Olympics. So Ethan throwing the shade to Tavion and Tyra May Steele, even though Tyra May hit that back suplex and well performed the back suplex on Ethan Page tonight, which I thoroughly enjoyed a lot. So Chelsea Green says she has the solution to the problem to Ethan. She wants to create a peace treaty between Canada and America, which leave it to Chelsea Green to come up with something like that. She said she wants that peace treaty to take place at NXT next week in Philadelphia. Then we see an advertisement for Trick Williams going up against Javon Evans next week, like I mentioned earlier, with the winner facing Oba Femi at NXT Heatwave. And that's going to be a really good match next week. I'm looking for maybe Javon to go over there and to face Oba at Heatwave, but we'll see. Could it be a champion versus champion? Because Trick has got a lot of stuff going on. He had obviously the 8-man tonight, and then Friday he is going to be facing Moose for the TNA title on the TNA PLE, and then obviously next Tuesday he will be going up against Javon Evans in a number one contenders match to see who will face Oba Femi at NXT Heatwave. Also, next week, we will see Jasper Troy going up against Ricky Saints. That will also be in Philly next week. Looking forward to that match. And then we're going to see Josh Briggs against Yoshi Inamura in a Philadelphia street fight. We love the Philadelphia street fights. And also on the card for next week, we will see Fatal Influence, Josie Jane, Fallon Henley, and Jasmine Nix going up against the Ash Elegance brand in a 6-woman tag match. So NXT next week is a stacked card again. Raw is going to be live in Philly, and then NXT will also be in Philly as well next week. So we get to the main event, which is going to be Javon Evans, Moose, the face of the franchise, the system of TNA, Oba Femi, and Trick Williams going up against Dark State. This match was wild. When the match first got underway, we saw all four just kind of going after each other. A lot of hard hitting going on in this match as well. The one of the highlights, the funny parts of the match for me was Trick didn't really want to kind of act like he really didn't want to get involved. So basically they just kind of picked Trick up and threw him over the ring into a backflip. He did a backflip over the ring and landed on Dark State. And then obviously Trick slides up back into the ring, like dapping everybody, like, he tricking like, he just pulled off a fantastic move. They mentioned Oba Femi being NXT champion for 216 days. So I think one of the biggest focal points of the match was when Oba and Osiris was going at it from Dark State. Those two are big guys. I would love to see those two go one on one. I'm hoping that NXT does that match at some point because they were like running into each other and nobody was budging and that was a great part of the match. Javon Evans for me was the biggest highlight of the match. He was flying all over the ring, like somersaulting over the top rope. Um, Obviously taking out Dark State. He took him out on the table. Javon was all over the place. Javon Evans is the young OG. He is definitely going to be NXT champion and possibly, in my opinion, going to be the one that takes the title off of Oba Femi when that day comes. I mean, Oba's been champion 200 plus days, so I'm not quite sure how much longer they're going to keep the title on Oba, but before they send him up to the main roster. But if they do, I think the title would be in good hands with Javon. He showed a lot of aerial moves in this match. Um, he hit the frog splash close to the end of the match, but it was broken up by Dark State. So we're getting close towards the end of the match, and then we have a lot of miscommunication. Um, Basically, Oba Spears, I believe Oba Spears Moose or Trick. It was one of the two. Can't really remember. Apologize for that. But definitely a lot of miscommunication at the end of the match to where Oba, Moose, and Trick were all like, well, not Trick, but Oba and Moose were like knocked out of the ring. Dark State. So you can see Trick Williams standing up on the outside of the ring. And Dark State like all picks up Javon Evans, does a quadruple power bomb, and Trick is just standing there. He wants nothing to do with it at all. So yeah, that's obviously they're having a match next week, but is Trick working with Dark State? I think that's been kind of one of the rumors that's been going on for a while. Um, but yeah, he did not want to get involved. So they hit the quadruple power bomb on Javon Evans for the 1, 2, 3. Dark State in the main event picks up the victory over 4 extreme powerhouses: Javon Evans, Moose, Obafemi, and Trick Williams. As I said before, and then obviously as the match ends, we see Hank and Tank come out. They did hold their word. They didn't interfere in the match. They come out after and they start brawling with Dark State because Hank and Tank will be defending the tag titles against 2 members of Dark State at NXT Heatwave. But the thing is which 2 members are they going to be defending the titles against? I think it puts Dark State or Hank and Tank in a precarious position because they really don't know who to prepare for. So, like I said, we have an action-packed NXT coming up next week. Um, we're gonna see Blake Monroe, obviously face to face with Jordan Grace next week. We're gonna see the peace treaty thing with Chelsea Green, Ethan Page, and Tyra May Steele and Tavion Heights. We're also going to see Jasper Troy going up against Ricky Saints next week. And then we're going to see the number one content. Well, we're also going to see Fatal Influence going up against the Elegance brand next week. But I think the main event for next week's show will be the number one contenders match, where Javon Evans will go up against Trick Williams with the winner to face Oba Femi at NXT Heatwave. So, like I said, NXT Heatwave is looking really good at this moment. The card is shaping up, and then NXT is really shaping up for next week. I'm gonna probably give NXT probably about a 7.5 to 8 tonight. I think, like I said, it's very fast paced show. You got to you can't take your eyes off of it. You got to keep up with everything that's going on. But they're really setting up, Heat Wave well, and then they're actually gonna have JC Jane defend her TNA championship at Heatwave, which, if I had to guess, I think 90% chance maybe JC drops at Heatwave. It's a triple threat. She doesn't have to be pinned. And then maybe she can start focusing on some feuds for her NXT title on NXT with like either Lash Legend, Lola Vice, um, Kalani Jordan, Jada Parker. All those are huge names that I really feel like, can get involved in the NXT title picture. But yeah, that pretty much sums up NXT. You guys make sure you tune in next week. I'm just kind of roll through the comments. Thanks LB for showing up. Ryan, obviously, Ryan again. Arif, Rhea Ripley, and happy National Julian Fries Day. So I do apologize to everyone. At the beginning of the stream, I have no idea absolutely at all what happened. I had the stream set to go to my Facebook, DKO's Facebook, the EVP show, obviously my YouTube channel, the DKO YouTube channel, and my X. But for some reason, when I went live, it kicked me off of the DKO YouTube channel, so we're not streaming on there, unfortunately. So yeah, NXT was great tonight. I will try. I do apologize. Like I said, I do apologize at the beginning. I wasn't aware. I don't know what happened there. I'm gonna have to figure that out after the stream. But I do thank everybody for coming tonight. I'm gonna give you guys my outro and my little thank you message, and then I will drop where you can find me, and obviously all my ads are at the bottom, but we will go through all that at the end. So you guys enjoy this.
CJP's your guide, let's start the show. Tag teams breaking, factions shaking. He's got the scoop for moves they're faking. Built on the line, dreams on display. The EVP show keeps the drama in play. It's good. Let's go where the heroes rise and the legends grow. CJP brings the shots, the EVP show is out of control.
All right. I hope you guys enjoyed the outro, and the thank you, obviously, to the people that tuned in tonight on my Facebook, DKO's Facebook, my YouTube channel, the EVP show, and my X. It was supposed to stream to the DKO YouTube, but I will have to figure out what happened with that once the stream goes off the air. But yeah, so this is starting my second week of my recaps. Obviously, I did my Monday Night Raw recap last night, and then the LFG recap Sunday. So where you can find me next is you will see me Friday on SmackDown Island at 6 p.m. Eastern on Twitter Space. It will be a must-watch show. So you guys come and join SmackDown Island. It will be on Twitter at 6 p.m. Eastern. Obviously, you can also find me on the front row. some of these streams that I will be doing, like starting next week, I will be doing my NXT and my LFG streams will be strictly to the front row. So you guys need to get the information if you want to come in and get signed up and get into the front row so that you can see all of DKO's superstars, including myself, all our premium content and shows that will be going onto the front row. I won't be doing anything for the AAA show coming up this weekend. Going to take a couple of days off. Obviously, I will be off tomorrow. I have nothing going on, and obviously, I don't have anything going on. Well, tune in Thursday because I do have something going on Thursday. It will be the EVP Zero show, where we will be Zero will be doing a Q&A, but that will only take place as well on the front row. The EVP show will take place on YouTube, but the Q&A section of it will take place on the front row. And then Friday, like I said, you can see me on SmackDown Island at 6 p.m. Eastern on X. And then after that, I will be on the SmackDown watch along on the front row. We do Monday Night Raw and Friday Night SmackDown watch alongs on the front row. So, like I said, get signed up, get in there, get yourself in that front row and enjoy some content. So once SmackDown goes off, you will see the EVP back here on YouTube at 10:30 p.m. Eastern for my SmackDown recap. After that, I don't have anything Saturday as of now, but then you will see me back here live on the EVP Zero show. I'm sorry, the EVP show. I'm so used to saying EVP Zero show. You will see me live at 11:30 p.m. Eastern for the LFG recap coming up Sunday night, and it will be episode 8, which should be a good episode. I know I'm starting late in season 2, but I thoroughly enjoyed season 1. Wish I would have been out had YouTube then. So yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed that. What's going on, Ryan? Good to see you. Just kind of finishing up here. Shout out to Ryan Powell. Thanks for showing up. So then I will be back Monday as well for the Monday Night Raw recap. Then, like I said, next week, Tuesday for NXT will strictly be on the front row. And then I will be back the next Friday as well on the EVP show back on YouTube. And then following that, the following LFG will be strictly on the front row as well. So I'll be doing 2 recap shows live here on YouTube and other platforms like my X, DKO's YouTube, DKO's Facebook, TikTok, some of those type of things. So yeah, you can pretty much find me everywhere. But you guys try to get signed up to the front row so you can come in and watch these watch alongs. And also, don't forget to like and subscribe. On X, you can find me at the EVP CJP. On Instagram, you can find me also at the EVP CJP. And obviously on YouTube at the EVP Show. Once again, thank you everybody for tuning in tonight. And I will see you guys back here live on the EVP show Friday night at 10:30 p.m. Eastern for the SmackDown recap. And one last thing, I will be doing a NXT Heatwave prediction show as well as an NXT Heatwave recap on somewhere in the week before August the 24th. And then I'll do the recap following the PLE on the 24th. And then I will also be doing a prediction show. What's going on, Ryan? I'll also be doing a Clash at Paris prediction show sometime that next week, followed by a Clash at Paris recap show after the PLE. I think that's going to start at 2 p.m. Eastern Time. With that being said, thank you to everyone that watched from my Facebook. DKO's Facebook, obviously my show, the EVP show, and everyone that watched on X tonight. I will see you guys Friday night back here at 10:30 p.m. Eastern for the EVP show SmackDown recap. With that being said, love one another, and I will see you guys Friday night. I am the EVP CJP, and this is the EVP show. And with that being said, good night, all.